Lisa also agrees with the divorce.
I'm stationed overseas and suddenly received divorce papers in the mail. Shocked, I contacted my wife, Maria, and she confirmed that she was serious about the divorce.
That's right. I'll take a good amount of alimony because it's your fault for always neglecting our family.
Yes, it's all Dad's fault. Take responsibility.
On the phone, my beloved daughter Lisa joined Maria in scolding me. This will make life easier for me.
Why are you silent all of a sudden? Are you shocked to be dumped?
Maria mocked me joyfully. But she didn't yet know the life she was about to lead. She didn't know that I planned to finalize the divorce and move abroad quickly, and that I was about to transfer everything into her name. My name is Ted, a 55-year-old salesman. I've been devoted to sales at a major trading company. Now, I serve as the head of the sales department. My father was also a salesman at a trading company, and I spent much of my childhood overseas. Thanks to that, I can speak 5 languages, leaving my parents behind. I came back to America when I was in high school, and I lived with my grandparents when I was in high school and university. I dreamed of being a globe-trotting salesman like my father, so I joined a trading company. The job market during my time was a seller's market, with companies desperately trying to secure employees, and I was in high demand. I received several job offers, but I chose my current company, which was active in international trade. After joining, I managed to achieve excellent results despite economic downturns and stock market crashes. The recent pandemic has hit the global economy hard, but humans are resilient, and the effects are gradually subsiding. After a pause, international business trips have resumed this year. And as the head of sales, I've started traveling again for important deals.
Oh, another trip. Well, that's fine.
As I packed for a trip, Maria opened the door and spoke sarcastically. This one might be long. Sorry, but I need you to take care of things at home. I turned and replied calmly. Smirking at me, Maria turned away and left. What? After packing my large suitcase, I headed to the living room to take a break and make some coffee.
He's proudly packing himself and showing it off to us.
I stopped at the door when I heard Maria's displeased voice from the living room.
Well, it's all good because he can get ready himself and doesn't need your care.
My daughter Lisa is trying to calm Maria. I sighed and took a few steps back, deliberately clearing my throat before opening the door.
Oh, Dad, are you done preparing?
Lisa called out to me, but Maria remained silent and turned away. Yes, I'm done. I'll be leaving early tomorrow morning. This business trip looks like it will be a long one. Then I made coffee and went back to my room. Maria and I have been sleeping in separate rooms for almost 20 years now. Maria was a receptionist at my company, 2 years my senior. With her glamorous appearance and charming smile, she was truly the belle of the company. Men from inside and outside the company always gathered around the reception where Maria was, trying their best to woo her. I lived in foreign countries for a long time, but it was more fun to be with my friends in high school and university. So I didn't have any girlfriends. I was recognized by the company as a hopeful newcomer, so I guess I was a bit of a famous person without my knowledge. One day, as I went to the reception to pick up a message, Maria secretly handed me a piece of paper with her phone number on it. Most men would have been thrilled, but I was so desperate to learn my job that I forgot a note given to me by her, who was famous as the most beautiful woman in the company, probably being always adored. Maria could not stand being ignored. She ambushed me after work and forcefully took me to a restaurant.
Hey, Ted, do you have a girlfriend?
Maria asked while sipping wine. Nervously, I answered,
No girlfriend. I'm just focused on learning the job right now.
You're a serious man, but the executives seem to expect a lot from you. You're talented, and I hear you speak 5 languages. You're truly a young hope.
Maria looked up at me flirtatiously.
No, speaking 5 languages is pretty standard at this company.
You're also modest, Ted. You're really wonderful.
Thank you.
Even though she complimented me like that, I didn't think much of it, but it seemed to spark even more interest in Maria. She kept inviting me out, and after dining together several times, we somehow started feeling like a couple, and everyone in the company knew about our relationship. By that time, my international business trips had increased, so we couldn't meet often. But Maria was always happy when I had to travel abroad.
It's amazing that you're traveling abroad alone after just 1 year with the company. You're definitely a future executive.
Maria supported me with sparkling eyes. Eventually, I fell seriously in love with Maria and proposed to her in our 3rd year of dating.
I'm so happy. I'll definitely be a good wife and support you.
Maria retired from her job upon our marriage. Many male colleagues shed tears and seemed to resent me. But by then, I had become a respected member of the sales department, and no one dared to complain directly to me. Thus, Maria and I got married, and she became pregnant right after our wedding. We moved in a rush and started living together. But Maria could hardly do any housework due to morning sickness. I did my best to support her, but she found faults daily and complained. The kind Maria who always praised me while we were dating seemed to have disappeared. I told myself it was her poor health causing this, hoping she would return to her usual self after the morning sickness passed. But reality was not so forgiving. When Lisa was born, Maria began complaining about the hardships of night crying.
You should at least take care of her when you're home.
After coming home late at night, I was often handed a crying Lisa, and on rare days off, I ended up doing accumulated chores like cleaning and laundry. Being young, I thought, postpartum women are delicate, so they need care, as I had been told by parents abroad. And since Lisa was indeed adorable, I worked hard despite being exhausted, while Maria pushed household and child care duties onto me. She insisted that I not slack off at work, and she never allowed me to take a day off, even when I was slightly ill. Fortunately, Lisa grew up healthy, and nearly 30 years had passed. By then, however, Maria and I had completely cooled off towards each other. Still, I pride myself on having done my utmost for my family. Lisa graduated from college, and when I was promoted to department head 5 years ago, Maria wanted to move into a high-rise condo.
If you're a department head at a top company, you have to live in a place like this.
Maria was in a good mood at the time, and we had a period of peaceful living. But that peace soon passed, and Maria's attitude became cold again. It seems she does the household chores for herself and Lisa, but never for me. The misery of doing household chores with a tired body at my age is indescribable. I've thought about divorce many times, but being too busy and Lisa's presence have made me hesitate. So now, even if Maria doesn't help with trip preparations or speaks ill of me loudly, I don't mind. Well, I'm off then. The next morning, I whispered to myself in an empty hallway and left the house. For me now, working is when I feel most significant. After completing the travel procedures, I boarded the plane and closed my eyes. I felt heavy due to not sleeping well the night before. As soon as I closed my eyes, yesterday's conversation between Maria and Lisa echoed in my mind.
He acts like he's done nothing wrong. I hate that saintly attitude.
As soon as I left the living room with my coffee, Maria started complaining.
Well, we can live comfortably because he works hard. I really wish Mom would try a little harder to keep him happy.
Lisa calmed Maria down with a laugh in her voice. Lisa, who had always been close to me as her little, began to show defiance during her teenage years. From then on, she seems to have become devoted to her stylish and youthful mother. Maria, indifferent to parenting, was in a good mood when Lisa said things she liked, an easier target compared to the nagging me. When it came to money matters, like high school and college, Lisa was obedient to me and accepted my advice. Lisa, more cunning than Maria, skillfully navigated between us to gain her advantage. Initially troubled by Lisa's rebellious attitude, I was pleased when she became obedient. But a certain event made me realize her true nature. Previously, I had scolded Lisa for not working after college graduation and instead gallivanting under the guise of preparing for marriage. But now I no longer felt like saying anything.
Dad, are there any good guys at your company? I want someone reliable like you, Dad.
Lisa sometimes says this sweetly when I'm at home. Well, if I see someone promising, I'll introduce him to you, I answer with a smile. But my heart feels cold. Ultimately, Lisa probably wants a convenient partner to depend on. Just like Maria, I'm enough of a victim. I mutter to myself and pretend to look, all the while dodging the issue.
But, Dad never really introduces any guys. I'm already 28. I want to get married soon and be an elegant housewife like Mom.
Isn't you already in her elegant bride training phase? Well, a boring guy like him would be dull. I wouldn't recommend it.
They giggle together.
But hey, if you want to play around, there are plenty of ways to do that, right?
Oh, Mom, saying that in front of your daughter?
They burst into uncontrollable laughter. I entered the room without making a noise, so they didn't notice me. What am I going to do with them? But that's my family, after all. I drank my coffee filled with emptiness. The coffee was too bitter, and I had trouble falling asleep. Are we there already? Before I knew it, I had arrived at my destination in Bangkok. It seems I fell asleep while lost in thought. The heaviness I felt when leaving home seems like a lie, and I disembarked from the plane feeling refreshed. I met the local staff, who came to pick me up at the airport, and headed to the branch office in Thailand, which serves as a crucial hub in Southeast Asia. Our company places significant emphasis. Afterward, the negotiations go smoothly, and I complete the contract on the last day, ready to return home. A letter from the U.S. arrived at the hotel where I am staying. Normally, communication from the company would be via phone or email. So why a letter? Moreover, it was addressed to me personally. Curious, I opened it and found a single piece of paper inside. It's a divorce document. Moreover, it is signed by Maria. She had to mail this all the way to Bangkok. Couldn't she wait until I got back to the U.S.? Annoyed, I decided to call Maria anyway.
Wow, how unusual. Did the mail arrive?
Maria asked me meaningfully. Yes. The divorce papers. What's this all about? I asked calmly, and Maria grinned slyly.
What do you mean? I want a divorce because you've neglected the family too much, and I just can't take it anymore.
She declared triumphantly. Is that so? At my response, Maria scoffed.
I'm serious, Lisa agrees with our divorce.
Before I could even speak, Maria rattled on.
I'll take a good amount in alimony because it's your fault for always neglecting our family.
I could hear not only Maria's voice, but Lisa's.
That's right. It's Dad's fault. You need to take responsibility.
Lisa scolded me. This will make life easier. While I listened to their harsh words, Maria started laughing.
Oh, come on. Are you shocked to be dumped?
Maybe crying on the other end.
I quietly told the two of them, all right, let's get divorced. I'll give you everything I own. I promised.
And I'll take the savings too. No complaints, right? I've supported you all this time, so you should be grateful and hand it over.
I could almost see Maria reclining triumphantly on the other end of the phone. Understood. Let's proceed with that. While listening to their triumphant cries, I hung up the phone. Well, things are going to get busy. I decided to get moving right away. Upon returning to the U.S., I immediately filed the divorce papers and completed various procedures. It's finally over. With a refreshed feeling I hadn't felt in 30 years. I crack open a beer as I relax on the deck chair, feeling the pleasant breeze. I can't help but hum to myself. Then, my cell phone rings loudly. Who's that? Picking up, I see it's my now ex-wife Maria's name displayed. Hello? As soon as I answer, Maria's hysterical screaming comes from the other end.
What the heck, you? What's this all about?
She yells so loudly the sound cracks. What do you mean? I replied calmly, and after a moment, all I could hear was her heavy breathing.
I got something called a certificate of contents.
She starts to speak while still gasping for air. Just as you see, due to the divorce, your infidelity came to light. So it's a claim for alimony.
There's more to it than that, isn't there?
Maria's voice trembles. Yeah, the results of a DNA test are also included. It shows that Lisa isn't my daughter, since you tricked me into raising her. I'm also demanding reimbursement for all the child-rearing expenses. If you don't like it, we'll go to court.
I can't pay $300,000 like this.
I sneered as I spoke. Why not get Lisa's real father to pay?
You, who are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. I know everything, all of it, I say in a low voice. And Maria gasps in fear.
But he doesn't have that kind of money now. His wife divorced him and took all his savings and retirement funds.
Her feeble voice was as good as admitting that Lisa's father was someone else. I am exasperated by Maria's persistent foolishness. It's John, the former executive, right? Maria gasps on the other end. I only found out recently, but it was a shock, especially since he was the best man when we got married.
No way.
Maria groaned but then spoke as if she had a realization.
Did you tell John's wife, Alice, about this?
Sharp of Maria to notice. Yes, that's right. Good of you to notice. I gathered all the evidence and informed Alice.
You shouldn't have.
She grits her teeth. But there's nothing more Maria can do. Alice was furious about the years of betrayal. Since her son is a liar, she hired a top-notch lawyer through him and seems to have taken nearly all of John's assets. And I added more to the conversation. By the way, Alice mentioned she'd be seeking alimony from you.
What did you say?
Maria screamed, and then I could hear the rustling of papers.
Oh my God.
It seemed she also received a notice from Alice.
Alimony of $50,000. I can't pay that much.
Oh, that makes it a total of $350,000. Tough break. If you were short on cash, you could always sell some land.
Good, right. It's in my name now, isn't it?
Maria's voice brightened at my reminder. That's right. It's all done. Well, I'm hanging up now. After ending the call, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. About a year ago, I accidentally learned of Maria and Lisa and my former boss John's secret. I was supposed to have dinner with a client at a restaurant, but they were delayed by an hour. While waiting, I ordered a coffee and turned around, only to see Maria and John entering together. John had been my boss, and since he and Maria were from the same company, I knew them well enough. Not to mention, he had been our best man at our wedding. However, Their behavior at that moment seemed closer than just acquaintances, almost too intimate. I turned my back to avoid being noticed. Luckily, they were seated at a table that was hidden from me by a pillar. I couldn't see them, but I could just barely hear their conversation in the quiet restaurant.
Maria, it's been a while.
Yes, John, I thought we'd see each other more since you retired, but you hardly ever call.
Maria's voice sounded pouty.
Sorry about that. It was easy to make excuses when I was working, but now that I'm home, it's harder to find a reason to get out.
John had retired the previous year. But what's with this familiarity? Maria's coy tone was completely different from the cold attitude she usually had towards me.
How's Lisa doing? Is she well?
Yes, she's recently gotten into Korean singers and is fussing about going to concerts.
The mention of Lisa's name made me listen even more intently.
I see. Doesn't she want to get married?
Not at all. I keep telling Ted to introduce her to some promising guys, but that incompetent, he hasn't brought home a single decent suitor.
Maria spat out, calling me incompetent.
Well, that's Ted for you. He is not such an attentive person.
John laughed it off as he insulted me.
Right. Imagine raising someone else's child for 30 years without ever suspecting a thing. He's so clueless.
What? Someone else's child? That phrase kept spinning in my head.
I was panicked at the time. It was just after Ted had proposed to Maria, so I let my guard down.
John, you're terrible, but it was good Ted never doubted he was the father.
They laughed merrily together.
I really want to go around telling people she's my daughter. Alice and I only had boys. A daughter given to us in our later years feels special.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Lisa knows you're her real father, and she's proud of it.
Is that so? Well, if she needs anything, let her know she can ask. I want to give my precious daughter the best. Maybe we should go out to a fancy restaurant again sometime.
Please include me.
Maria's pleading voice was the last thing I heard before my vision darkened and I broke into a cold sweat. Lisa knows her real father. Proud of it? What does that mean? My vision went dark and I broke out in a cold sweat. I felt faint and don't remember what they said after that. Somehow, I managed to leave the restaurant without them noticing and informed the client that I was sick and needed to cancel today. They hadn't finished their business yet, so they apologized and expressed concern for my health. Strangers are far kinder. I muttered to myself. I've been betrayed by John, Maria, and Lisa all along. I don't remember how I got home, but I woke up in my own bed. Neither Maria or Lisa had come home yet. As I looked up at the ceiling, I swore to myself that I would expose John and Maria's affair. After hiring a private investigator, it wasn't long before I learned about their relationship. As expected, they had an affair, and it turns out their affair had started even before Maria and I were married. From talking to retired colleagues, it seemed their relationship was quite well known back then. And then there was the DNA test with Lisa. When Lisa came home drunk and fell asleep in the living room, I secretly took a saliva sample and had it tested. It was unbearable to doubt Lisa, whom I thought was the most important person in the world. But thinking she was in the same league as Maria fueled my anger and blew away my misery. As expected, the results confirmed that Lisa was not my biological daughter, just as I thought. I laughed while looking at the evidence of Maria and John's infidelity and Lisa's paternity results. It was a dry laugh. With this evidence, I'll drag them through hell, I vowed to myself after my laughter subsided. A year later, I waited for the right moment. I seized the opportunity on the day Maria pretended to go on a trip with her friends, but actually went out with John. I contacted John's wife, Alice showed her all the evidence I had gathered and revealed their affair. Alice was pale as she meticulously examined the evidence, and while trembling, she promised her full cooperation. With the help of a competent lawyer and her son, Alice successfully stripped John of everything and threw him out.
Your turn is next.
Those were the words Alice said to me when she reported back. 3 days after Maria's call, my phone rang again. It was Maria, of course. Hello?
What the heck, you? What is this all about?
Maria screamed the same thing she had the other day when I answered the phone. What do you mean? I replied disdainfully, and Maria breathed heavily out of frustration.
That land you transferred in my name, such a remote mountain land, no one would want it. And even if I sold it, I wouldn't make any money at all. The real estate agent said that if I sell it, I will have to pay extra expenses. But if I don't sell it, I'll have to pay a lot of money in maintenance fees and taxes.
I calmly responded to Maria's shrieking. Well, you said you wanted everything I had. I just granted your wish. But thanks anyway. I got that land from my grandfather and had been struggling to get rid of it. You taking it off my hands really helped. After thanking her, Maria, probably furious, fell silent. Then, the door burst open, and a voice was heard.
Wait, Mon, this is serious. Wait, Dad, is that Dad?
The call switched to video. There were Maria, looking terrified, and Lisa, pale-faced.
I just went to the bank to check our account balance. Mom, calm down. There's hardly $100 left.
As Lisa spoke, Maria's jaw dropped.
Dad, what's going on?
Lisa glared at me. There's hardly any money left because you two spend tall.
What?
Maria also glared at me and raised her voice. Look closely. Isn't my salary coming in properly? And check the credit card charges at the end of the month. Nearly every month, my salary disappears, right?
But what about the bonuses?
Bonuses? You spent them on your overseas trips, designer bags, and spa treatments as soon as they came in.
No, it can't be. But it's true.
Lisa was shocked as she looked over the bank account.
This loser, it was your duty to satisfy me and Lisa, and you couldn't even save any money. You're truly incompetent.
Maria hurled abuse, and I replied coldly, since we got married, I've never really bought anything for myself. I've given everything for you and Lisa. But what have you done for me? You've betrayed and mocked me. Why should I satisfy people who treat me like that? Maria fell silent. And then John appeared from behind her. It seemed he was nearby, probably moved in with Maria after Alice kicked him out.
Ted, long time no see.
John tried to sound composed as he spoke to me, but he looked somewhat shabbier than before. Long time no see. Former executive John. I emphasized former, and John's face tightened. So, after betraying people for so long, getting kicked out by Alice, and now with no home or money, what do you want from me? As I asked, John forced a smile.
What's up, Ted? That's not like you. After all, Maria and you were together for 30 years, and Lisa is the daughter you cherished. Stop being childish. Help them out.
What is he talking about? I felt a rush of anger. Help? Why should I? Why don't you help Maria and Lisa? If you can. I managed to keep my composure as I responded. John looked sad and shrugged.
Ted, I'm an old man now, and what you think about my relationship with Maria isn't true. She was just volunteering to keep me company. So, with a broad heart, help out Maria, Lisa, and me, who are in trouble.
Wasn't he like this before? Or was he just hiding his shamelessness? I thought to myself as I watched John's desperate attempt to smile.
Right, Dad? Lisa's in trouble. We can't even buy food without money. You stopped the credit card, didn't you? It hasn't worked since the day before yesterday.
Lisa cried out in almost a scream. Well, Lisa, you could get a job and take care of your real father, Vin? I coldly dismissed her.
What are you talking about? You're the only dad I have.
True to form, Lisa was more composed than Maria. She looked me straight in the eye, her gaze seemingly honest, without any deceit. Because you said you'd be proud to have someone like John as a father instead of an incompetent like me. Right. Then cherish that father you are so proud of, I advised her calmly. And Lisa exploded.
What are you saying? I only said that because I heard he was a rich executive from a better university than you. But now he's just a penniless, unemployed old man. I don't need someone who can't even buy me anything.
She started ranting and stomping her feet. Next to her, John looked shocked and froze.
Right. You transferred all your assets to Maria's name, right? Then, this house is hers. Maria, you can sell this place for a good amount. I know a real estate agent who might buy it for a high price.
In a panic from being berated by Lisa, John said something foolish.
Right. After all, it's a high-rise luxury condo. It could be worth about $1 million.
Mom, that's great. Then we can relax for a while.
Lisa suddenly smiled after throwing a tantrum.
Sorry, Ted. I'm going to sell this condo you bought and use the money for living expenses and alimony.
John cheerfully said this to me, to which I had to correct him. What are you talking about? This condo isn't in my name. So, naturally, it can't become Maria's property.
What?
Maria jumped up in shock on the other end of the phone.
But that's not the deal. You said you'd give me all your assets.
I smiled and said, That's right. That's why I transferred those mountains to you. Also, I gave you the furniture and appliances you liked, even though I bought them with my card.
Such mountains are nothing but nuisance.
Maria collapsed onto the floor.
Then, whose name is this condo in?
It's mine,
Said a man popping up beside me, causing Lisa and the others to scream. He's Tom, my childhood friend and current employer.
What? Employer? What are you talking about?
Maria snapped back, and I explained. I quit my job and am now in Bangkok, Thailand. The other end of the phone went silent. Tom runs a company here. He had been inviting me for a while. But I never told you because I knew you wouldn't approve. Getting divorced and being free made me first think of working with Tom.
Wait, but this condo.
Maria started to ask, and Tom took over with a laugh.
long time no see, Maria. Though I guess you might not remember me since your wedding. I bought that condo as an investment property. I bought it but didn't want to rent it to just anyone. When I heard Ted was looking for a place, I offered it to him cheaply, so he could save up and build a mansion after retirement.
So, this condo belongs to Tom, I added, and Maria and the others looked disappointed, thinking they could sell it.
I think you'll be getting a call from the real estate agent, but please move out by the end of this month.
Tom cheerfully informed them, and the three on the screen froze.
I lent it to Ted and his family. Now that you're divorced, Maria, you're a stranger, and Lisa isn't really his daughter, right? So, I have no reason to rent this room to you guys.
Maria and the others began shouting. It seems they were hurling insults at each other.
It's because Mom makes Dad angry. I told you to handle it better.
Wasn't it John who told me to trick Ted into thinking Lisa was his child when I was pregnant?
If you're going to deceive, you should have kept it secret. It's your own fault it got out.
An ugly argument ensued. If you are going to fight, save it for later. With that said, Pack your things. I'm hanging up." The three of them looked at me fiercely as they argued.
Ted, everything up to now has been a misunderstanding. It was all a mistake. I'm the only one who loves you. John deceived young me. Lisa was a mistake. I don't want her anymore. Let's cancel the divorce. I'm a victim too. Let's go back to how things were, okay?
Maria pleaded while feigning tears.
I was just lonely. You never paid any attention to me. I thought if I mentioned divorce, you would start noticing me. I'm sorry, I was so foolish.
Not to be outdone, Lisa grabbed her phone from Maria.
Dad, there's only one dad for me. You've always cared for me, haven't you? Don't listen to people like Mom. Let's live together, just you and me. Someday I will show you your grandchildren. Can I come to be with you?
Ben John leaned in.
Ted, Bangkok is a smart choice. Southeast Asia is booming. I'd love to work at that company. Despite being older, my career speaks for itself. Please introduce me to your friend Tom.
The three scrambled for the phone, hurling insults. Tom and I, unable to bear it anymore, quietly hung up while they were still arguing.
Ted, you've had it rough for 30 years.
As I blocked their numbers, Tom spoke with heartfelt sympathy. Yeah, but now I can finally cut ties. We exchanged dry smiles.
Let's toast to the newly freed Ted.
Tom pulled out some chilled beers from the fridge, poured them into glasses, and we toasted. The beer tasted better than ever. As Tom had said, the real estate agent later advised Maria and the others to vacate the condo. They resisted and tried to stay, but eventually, they were forced to leave. I had informed Maria's parents of the situation, so her brother, who had taken over the family home, refused to let them return, leaving Maria and Lisa to drift from one internet cafe to another. John, through Alice's influence, found it impossible to get rehired or even stay in a hotel. Alice came from a family of presidents of large companies, and that helped John promote himself in the company. John had forgotten that favor and betrayed her. It's been 30 years. In this town, I doubt John will ever be forgiven. I was shocked when I saw a news story online about John being arrested by the police for causing a disturbance and damaging property after being rejected by Maria and Lisa at an internet cafe where he had nowhere else to go. But thinking about it as the downfall of someone who deceived others and trampled on their feelings, I felt a bit of satisfaction. Maria and Lisa were also injured, and perhaps unable to bear having their situation exposed to those around them. They left the town like fugitives in the night. There were rumors of two destitute women living in a remote mountain area. It might have been them. Afterward, I started helping out at Tom's company, and we've been successfully increasing sales. The people here are warm, and unlike the times I lived with Maria and Lisa, there is no emptiness or misery, no matter how tired I may feel. Drinking beer with Tom after work and talking about the company or reminiscing is the most enjoyable part of my day, and I deeply appreciate being here, reflecting on my life. I think I wasted a lot of time due to my poor judgment of people, but it was those times that now make me cherish the wonderful companions I have around me. From now on, I plan to live valuing people and time in the second half of my life.